Hi everyone, this is William, and as is usual, I am starting out today with the 1906 video. So we have the second part of the long diary entry for the 29th of May, which is a Monday, and Dmitri was in Ilinskaya. And yesterday he started playing soldiers with Borya again. I should say in yesterday's video, because we're continuing on with 29th May. So that day he'd been playing soldiers with Borya again for 4 hours. And I mentioned that when I was a kid, I had those little green plastic army men. I had tons of those, but I also managed to find some of my. I had a few that were more sort of the type that Dmitri would have played with. So I found them, and it must have been a horrible battle because they are mostly missing limbs. This guy too, and I hope I've got a few more lying around. Here's an arm. I'm not sure which one that went to. Oh, there we go. An arm with a rifle. That could be either one of them. This is the coolest one because it's completely intact and it's a horse, but I don't have the rider. And then there's another tiny little plastic one. And being a nerd, I then started painting some of my own, these little fantasy figures. And that was back, I think I did these when I was at university, so I haven't done any more playing with toy soldiers or painting toy soldiers since my university days, but I guess I shouldn't laugh at Dmitri playing with them when he was 14, because even though I wasn't playing with the army men anymore when I was 14, I still had the interest. Okay, so, and maybe he was a nerd too. He loved his toy soldiers and he loved his toy trains, and later on he would become a very avid stamp collector. So he had that side to himself. Okay, so here's the second part of the diary entry, and he is referring in the first line specifically to his 4-hour toy soldier session with little Borya. That pleasure lasted almost until dinner, and after dinner we all went for a ride in one line and in a char-a-banc. Maria drove the fillies. Tyotia brought Lena from Moscow today. I didn't manage to catch any fish today. I want to go to bed and grieve. Borya, this is amazing, sat on a bicycle for the first time the day before yesterday, and today he can ride with one hand. When we were returning from horseback riding, we met a peasant who knelt and said, "I'm ramolie. Maria's not acting stuck up, and Tyotia is good to me." 9:30. The funny thing about Dmitri is that when he was a little depressed, he was sort of at his best. He was kindest, and he wasn't laughing at people or making fun of them when he was a little down. Obviously being extremely depressed was problematic, but I get the impression from his diary entries that he was less sort of sarcastic and prone to laugh at people when he was more generous when he was a little depressed. Okay, so after dinner, so Aunt comes back, Tyotia comes back for dinner, Aunt Ella, and they go out and they ride in one line and in a char-a-banc. So what to make of that? I guess maybe some of them, probably including Dmitri, were on horseback, and some of them were in this char-a-banc. And Maria drove the fillies, so what does that mean? Maybe they were either harnessed to the char-a-banc, or they were in another little carriage. I know it was more the custom for men to ride on horseback than to ride in carriages when there was some informal little drive. And I learned this when I was reading Dimitri's 1917 diaries, and he would go out for a drive or a ride with Lady Lucia Marling, and on one occasion he had a bad inflammation, a boil, he calls it, on his thigh, and he couldn't ride a horse, and he just died 1,000 deaths being in the carriage with Lady Lucia instead of on a horse. He was really embarrassed by that. But I don't know, that was always the case. People did seem to go on drives on rides as families and that sort of thing. Okay, so Aunt has brought this Lena from Moscow, and as is typical of Dimitri when he's feeling a little down, he doesn't give us any details about her, except he's calling her by her first name, so she must have been on close terms with the family. He didn't catch any fish. Maybe he didn't go fishing, we don't know. I want to go to bed and grieve. Okay, well, yeah, that's where he's at. Very poetically put. And it's 9:30, and before he goes to bed and grieves, he remembers two more things. One is that Borya learned to ride a bicycle so quickly. It went from sitting on one for the first time to the day after being able to ride with just one hand. And Borya is Dimitri's little buddy, and Dimitri is impressed by that. So, it seems odd to me that Borya, who would have spent almost every summer at Ilinskaya, the big estate where the kids could ride their bikes around, it surprises me that he'd never been on a bike before. But, yeah, good for him. I mean, he was 7 or 8. I think I learned to ride a bike when I was about 5. And Dimitri is very impressed by this, and I wish I knew when Dimitri and Maria had learned to ride bikes. That would be interesting. Okay, and then when they are on horseback and going home, they meet this peasant who kneels, and there's nothing strange about that. However we might feel about it, that was what peasants did when they came across a member of the imperial family, and they may indeed even have done it in the old days of serfdom when they came across a landowner or a local official or something like that. I'm not sure about it, but certainly with royalty, sort of like, I guess, the way in which in England sort of the peasantry and working people would touch their hat when a member of the gentry went by. But this is, of course, something much more elaborate, to kneel. But what's surprising about that, then, is not that he knelt, but that he made this statement, "I'm ramolie," because that's a French word that was current within the imperial family and maybe within the aristocracy, I don't know, but definitely within the imperial family. And so it's funny that he's picked this up. And what does he mean by it? Is he telling them that he's crazy or he's tired? Or apparently they stopped to talk to him when they saw him kneel, and he made this statement. And if Dimitri was in a better mood, maybe he would have laughed about that. Okay. Maria's not acting stuck up, and Tjotja is good to me. So again, when he's a little depressed, he's a kinder boy and a kinder man, and appreciates people more. All right, so that's it for today. We have another interesting day in in Ilinskaya tomorrow, and we can see if his mood has changed at all. And all right, I'll see you next time. Bye.